Oh, buddy's losing it in front of us. Well, today's mission is to sell off my last snowmobile. I've decided I'm done with snowmobiling. I'm at that age where a lot of snowmobilers get to and they say, you know what, enough's enough. I'm risking too much, and I just don't have this. I just have a little more sensibility than I used to have. So this one's going to go in exchange for another project. I'll take a look at it, and you know what, this deal might even fall through when I get there. We're just going to go and look at a three-wheeler. So I'll get out of the no-wheelers and then do a three-wheeler. It's snowing like a bugger out, and I really wouldn't mind going snowmobiling right about now. But instead, I'm loading her up, and that is that. So here we go. Let's see if it'll start. Done. Era over. It's a sad day, but I knew it was coming. Ready to roll on this blustery day. It's out of antifreeze. This hose popped clean off. This I just happen to have in the truck. That was the thing that happened right there. Oh, buddy's losing it in front of us. Oh, he saved it. Oh, no, he hit the... No, I might stop and help him, okay?
Yes.
If I can.
Oh, shit.
I'm fine, I'm fine. I just don't know if he's gonna stay stopped or... So what is this? Think, oh, it's just an old quad. Why would you want that? Well, this isn't just any old quad to me. This is made by a company I work for right out of high school called Ontario Drive & Gear in New Hamburg. Now, some of you folks might recognize Ontario Drive & Gear from being the manufacturer of Argo, 6-wheel drive, 8-wheel drive amphibious vehicles. Well, there was a time in the mid-80s that they also made a 3-wheeler. Now, I wasn't there at the time for this one. I think I was gone by 1982, and these were just about to come out, because I actually have a videotape, VHS videotape, promotional tape on the Taurus. So I'm gonna find that, figure out how to put it on the computer. Even if I have to just film it off the TV, I'll do that, but I'll try to get it hooked up to the computer so it looks better. So what was different about these than every other 3-wheeler out there, the Hondas and the Yamahas and that kind of thing? Well, mostly its purpose, all right? It was never meant to be a wheelie machine, a hot dog machine. It was meant to work on the farm, work on the camp, and that's why it's got this big old Briggs & Stratton 16 horse opposed twin engine in it. All horsepower, not a whole lot of RPMs. Ontario Drive & Gear is based on their gear making ability, and that's the department I worked in when I was there, was the gear production side of things, not the Argo side. So you'll see what they got down here in the drive system. There's no, can't really see too well. I'll make a better video another time. This is just an introductory. But there's no chain, there's no drive shaft. It's a case, a transmission that goes all the way up from the engine down to the rear end by a series of gears inside that case. And I got thinking, you know what, I used to make gears there. I'm not sure how long they sat on the shelf before they assembled these things, but it's quite possible I made the gears for this exact machine. I kind of doubt it, but you never know. I was being groomed to become the transmission assembler for the Argos, which, you know, would have been probably doing these as well, these transmissions. But the recession of '81 came along, and I didn't last much longer than that. That company took a hit hard and probably almost went out of business. but survived somehow. And I just never went back. I ended up getting another job elsewhere, and unfortunately never went back to Argo or Ontario Driving Gear. If I had of, I'd still be there today, no doubt about it. I wanted to be there. That was my first job after high school, my first full-time job. And I got an apartment in New Hamburg, and I was happy as punch and thought, that's it, my career is complete. I just didn't know about economic downturns and stuff like that. I was naive. So I don't even know what's working this brake. I'm not sure if it's hydraulic. I haven't got underneath the thing yet, but I do see, I don't know what's in this cover. Is that all just the brake, or is that some kind of drive system? No, it's got to be the brake in there. And you know what? Once, sooner or later, I'll get this up on the chain fall, reef this up in the air. I do have to change the shock. The shock is just not functional at all. I mean, watch this. There's no shock in it. I mean, it's still gonna ride around and do things, but you know what? I wouldn't mind putting a few dollars into this just to make it a little bit better. And I'm pretty sure the little lady's gonna be able to ride this one. It's just a twist throttle, very simple. You just start it with the key like a car, no problem, and just give it a twist like a motorcycle. Got to be replaced. But I have another one over there. I don't really like this whole hose clamp idea up there, but and it's pretty. I mean, it's rolling, but it's pretty stiff. So you know what? It's a bit of a personal thing to me to want one of these. Not a whole lot of people would have traded, a pretty darn nice Arctic Cat for a piece of history like this. But and I'm going to tell you right now, in film like this, it is not going to come out looking like how big it really is. This thing is huge. And you know what? It can haul a lot of stuff. It's going to be used around my yard to tow other projects. And basically, it's just going to be my workhorse around here. Yeah, I've got a Yamaha quad. Sorry, not a Yamaha. I have a Polaris quad too. But all it does is tear up my lawn. It's finicky for starting. The electronics are all a problem. This is a nice, simple machine. If you can start a lawnmower, you can start this. It also has a rear parking brake that somebody, I think, has adapted to it. It doesn't look factory. You just snap that on, maybe give it a little bit of a foot. Snap that on. Because I wouldn't really want to try starting this in case it's in gear. Now you see how the transmission works. There's just a low, high, so 2 speeds forward, and a reverse. So you can see the pattern there. And I got this funky B&M shifter knob on it. I don't know what the original was, but that's what I put on it, and that's what I like. So it's in neutral now. Backwards for a reverse, back to neutral. Swing it down, maybe give it a bit of force. Down for low, up for high, and you're good to go. Back to neutral. And then for starting it, all I gotta do is turn the key. Now I already started it. There's a little choke ring here that I had on when I started it cold. It should be warmed up now. I didn't run it for too long. But let's just leave the choke off and give it a turn. Lights on. A little further is lights off. And then ignition. All right, choke on. Choke off. Back the lights on. And that is all there is to it. So it's got a big bed on the back for loading stuff. Got, big old grab handle or tie down bars. A couple of tie down hooks, one on each side. The plastics aren't in fantastic condition. We're missing this and that here and there. You know, little corners chipped off here and there. I'm not going to do a full-blown restoration on this, but I do want to fix it up and make it look nice. And I'll just add my own personal touch to things that are missing. I'll figure out what to do there. Maybe some checker plate or something. But there it is, eh? That's a 1986 Ontario Driving Gear Taurus. Made alongside the Argos in New Hamburg at the Argo plant. That's it. That was a trade. And I am now out of snowmobiling. That's it for me. I'm into unique old machines from the 70s and 80s. And that is it. That's just what I'm doing. So whether you think that was a good trade or not, doesn't really matter. I decided it was. And, you know, the fella got himself a good deal. I included a good track for it that I acquired. Because the track does need to be changed on that sled, but you know, it's not going to be that difficult to change. And then he's going to have one hell of a machine, you know, one of the nicest. All right, let's take this thing for a whirl, shall we? right. Test drive over. It idles way too high. I got to get into that carburetor and find the either the mixture or the idle screw. So what I've been doing to shift it was just pull the choke out to get the RPMs down. Once it's almost dying, I would shift it and then put the choke back in, and she'd clean herself out. But that's not going to be good enough. I got to get that idle right down. No problem there though. But the brakes all work good. All 3 gears work, low, high, and reverse. So yeah, she operates, and I got it figured out. The twist throttle is just too tight. I'm going to put on a new twist. I got one off a mini bike I think will fit. And I'll put on a new throttle cable as well, just make everything all nice and loose. Let's see about this here whole parking brake setup. Oh, the spring is supposed to be on that, right. And then as soon as you pull the brake, it would pull it back. So I'm going to fix that right now. Pull the brake. Throw on the parking brake. Oops, it will pop over the top. I might remedy that a bit, or just pay attention to what I'm doing. Now that little spring should pull it as soon as I pull the brake. It does. All right, fixed. There, I did my first project on the 1986 Ontario Driving Gear Taurus. There'll be a few more things, in particular that throttle. A guy could kill himself with that throttle. I mean, you pop that into gear with it idling that high and she's taking off on you, especially on snow. I really don't think these are designed for snow. It's hard to steer on the ice and this and that. Interesting. It's nice to see that there's actually a differential in this rear end. My quad is just a solid rear end right through, and I was watching the tires turn when I was like turning sharp, and I'm sure they're turning at different speeds. So that is awesome, particularly on the snow. Otherwise this thing just would go straight all the time. It would never steer. All right, so there's my test drive. Not so bad, just a couple little things. Once I get some time, I'll get it in the shop there and get that worked out. And of course I'll film it and show it for all 7 other people on earth that have one of these. They'll know how to swap out the throttle cable and adjust the throttle, or adjust the idle down. All right, from Ontario, cheers folks, take care.